A statement from instructor Carlos Plain, Durham School. I've committed my whole calling to empowering a particular hypothesis about the universe. Then this occurs. The hypothesis is being tended to. I embrace this test since it is through such looking at that we advance and gain ground in science. The James Webb Space Telescope is, according to a general point of view, upsetting a couple of long-held convictions in cosmology that have been perceived as truth for 100 years. Another super profound picture has uncovered that we have committed mistakes in cosmology. The telescope, which should uncover the essential stars of the universe, is somewhat irksome. The past perspective could present a totally new real viewpoint. Not all specialists are tormented about these new exposures. Different researchers are inviting these upgrades since it has for a surprisingly long time been clear that there were issues with our past speculations. The oddities in evaluating the universe's progression rate alone ought to have prompted specialists quite a while in the past. Notwithstanding, instead of precisely deciphering these alerts, many got a handle on old hypotheses. The vast microwave foundation radiation, CMB, which is the most prepared light in the world, was made close to 380,000 years after the enormous detonation, when the universe had cooled enough for electrons and protons to frame stable hydrogen particles. This progress, known as reionization, made the universe direct to light. The CMB was first perceived in 1964 by American physicists Arnold Penzias and Robert Wilson. While they were dealing with new radio receiving wire improvement, they experienced an enthusiastic uproar coming from each course above. This divulgence was at first made sure to be serious areas of strength for and of the theory of the universe's origin. Penzias and Wilson were granted the Nobel Prize, and their finding turned into a foundation all through the whole history of cosmology. The CMB most likely gives a depiction of the early universe, with little temperature changes offering fundamental bits of understanding into the circumstances, not long after the huge explosion. Investigators utilize the CMB as a dependable scratching to quantify key bits of the material universe, including the universe's extension rate. Edwin Hubble had recently made such estimations in the last part of the 1920s. He saw that distant universes are withdrawing from us, and their speed compares with their distance, which is currently known as the Hubble regulation or the Hubble consistent. No matter how Hubble's appraisals were not quite as unmistakable as they could have been, the procedures grew some other time when the CMB was found. Specialists recalculated the extension rate, finding it significantly lower than Hubble's underlying assessment. Resulting recalculations utilizing type I supernovae as standard candles gave a more definite evaluation. Be that as it may, contrasts remained. The separation in development rate evaluations has been known since the 1990s. Scientists have felt that there could be issues with the CMB information evaluation systems or the chance of broad improvement. This uniqueness, known as the S8 strain or Hubble pressure, shows that how we might interpret the universe may be on a very basic level defective. Since the James Webb Space Telescope started its activities, it has outfitted stunning information that could assist with explaining the issue. Frameworks so antiquated and mature that their improvement ought to hypothetically begin before the huge explosion are trying old genuine speculations. Stargazers presently face what is accepted to be the best emergency in current cosmology, the extension speed of the universe, and the hypothesis of the huge explosion are under an amplifying focal point. Webb's photographs uncover a universe that contrasts fundamentally from past models. The S8 strain filled in as an underlying advance notice. Examiners who actually stick to old hypotheses currently face a dilemma. Different researchers are wrestling with the confirmation that how we could decipher the universe might need. This vulnerability has left numerous specialists furious and befuddled. To address this crisis, we should comprehend how science capabilities. Speculative experts utilize a mix of numerical models, observational information, and intelligent thinking to show up at goals. Their figuring out comes from noticed characteristics, starter results, and theoretical examination. The expression hypothesis itself recommends creations and thoughts as opposed to outright encounters. Our practical information comes from pictures given by telescopes, sound waves, and radiation got by radio telescopes, alongside information from neutrino and gravitational wave identifiers. The James Webb Space Telescope permits us to disconnect the most old light into individual frequencies and dissect it in great detail. It can show which parts were typical in frameworks quite a long time back, the mass held inside them, and the quantity of stars present. Nonetheless, Webb's photographs could have restrictions. For instance, it can't dependably recognize universes and dark openings that produce comparative splendor because of huge development rates. Our instinctive comprehension has advanced to perceive different possible results as experiences and has frequently excused elective clarifications. New disclosures from the James Webb Telescope offer fundamental pieces of information that could prompt supplanting old speculations with new bits of knowledge. Specialists are at present wrestling with these disclosures, which appear so it is trying to amaze that tracking down new clarifications. The most recent disclosures are shaking the underpinnings of physical science, causing worry among countless researchers. Material science illustrations today are still intensely affected by Isaac Newton's 17th-century work. For a really long time, his laws of movement and gravity have given the establishment to figuring out the actual world and the universe. Newton's regulations make sense of article developments under ordinary circumstances, actually on the planet. Nonetheless, in space, his thoughts required development, generally refined by Albert Einstein during the 20th 100 years. Einstein's extraordinary hypothesis of relativity, distributed in 1905, transformed how we figure out the real world, displaying the relativity to the eyewitness movement. His overall hypothesis of relativity, distributed in 1915, extended these thoughts with numerical affirmations of gravitational whimsies in light of the curve of room-time brought about by masses like stars or systems. While Einstein's hypotheses were sound in different regions, he perceived their limits and looked for a bringing together hypothesis. Without progress, no master has yet won in this undertaking. It is charming to consider where errors could lie. Michio Kaku, a conspicuous American astrophysicist, recommended that settling this issue could prompt a Nobel Prize. We really want to research what realities experts could have excused, whether there have been misinterpretations of attributes, or, on the other hand, in the event that telescopes may be at fault. Dim matter and dim energy are top suspects in the cosmological crisis. Current models recommend that dull matter and dim energy together record for around 95% of the universe, yet neither has been straightforwardly noticed or demonstrated to exist. They may not exist by any means or could have properties we don't yet comprehend. One thought being talked about is that these dull parts' properties could have developed after some time, possibly showing some type of understanding. Gravity, which ought to cause fascination through mass or space-time ebb and flow, has not been absolutely shown, regardless of space-time bend thoughts, for the most part from Einstein, having been affirmed on different events. We can't totally preclude the likelihood that gravity has unexpected properties contrasted with what we acknowledged, or that one more impact causes gravitational fascination after some time. Explicit attributes in cosmology and astronomy have been laid out as significant constants, recognized to ordinarily be steady because of their unwavering quality. Appraisals propose that little varieties in these constants could give new experiences into the universe and make sense of eccentricities. Without dim energy, it is additionally conceivable that our translations of light moves have been misconstrued, prompting inaccurate distance appraisals and universe ages. Maybe our suppositions about the universe's underlying circumstances were blemished, or we misconstrued the astronomical microwave foundation radiation. It could try and be that the universe doesn't begin from a solitary beginning stage, testing the hypothesis of the universe's starting point. Regardless of our mechanical headways, minor missteps in the Webb telescope or other observational instruments can't be precluded. Planners and examiners have perceived that mistakes in instrumentation, information handling, or translation are dependably conceivable. The relentless reassessment of cosmological speculations features a focal part of logical movement, the capacity to adjust and propel our figuring out in view of new proof. The James Webb Space Telescope's perceptions are in excess of a mechanical jump. They address an essential second in our central goal to unwind the universe's mysteries. As we grapple with these revelations, perceiving the more extensive setting and ramifications of such logical headways in the area of cosmology is essential. The most common way of refining hypotheses is in many cases driven by the need to oblige perceptions with hypothetical models. The disclosure of startling qualities or oddities in laid-out hypotheses can be irritating. However, it likewise presents a huge chance for logical progression. Hypothetical models in cosmology are worked to give a level-headed system to grasping the universe's starting points, construction, and development. Notwithstanding, as new information arises, these models should be tried and, if fundamental, adjusted to oblige new bits of knowledge. One basic area of center is the idea of dull matter and dim energy, which are essential to contemporary cosmological models. Dim matter, a vague kind of issue that doesn't radiate or nonetheless, dull matter still can't seem to be straightforwardly identified, prompting progressing banters about its inclination and presence. Different investigations and perceptions are endeavoring to reveal its properties, however results have stayed subtle. A few researchers recommend that the way of behaving of worlds and bunches may be clarified through changes for how we might interpret gravity, instead of depending entirely on dull matter. Dim energy, then again, is hypothesized to drive the sped-up extension of the universe. A puzzling power balances gravity on infinite scales, yet its definite nature stays obscure. Current models recommend that dull energy comprises around 68% of the universe. However, understanding its starting points and suggestions is a critical test in cosmology. As specialists dive further into these secrets, the job of the James Webb Space Telescope turns out to be progressively indispensable. Its high-level abilities take into consideration phenomenal perceptions of far-off worlds, star arrangement, and the states of the early universe. These bits of knowledge might assist with explaining whether our ongoing speculations turn out as expected, or, on the other hand, on the off chance that they require critical update. The exchange among perception and hypothesis is fundamental in logical advancement. Each new finding from Webb can either build up existing models or challenge them, inciting a reconsideration of how we might interpret crucial ideas. This powerful interaction is the pith of logical request, a consistent pattern of speculation, testing, and refinement. As the area of cosmology advances, joint effort among researchers is critical. Scientists across disciplines should share information, experiences, and translations to construct a thorough image of the universe. Gatherings, distributions, and open-access information stages encourage a climate where thoughts can thrive and be basically inspected. All in all, the fate of cosmology is both promising and unsure. The revelations made by the James Webb Space Telescope hold the possibility to reshape how we might interpret the universe and its basic regulations. As we face the intricacies of dull matter, dim energy, and the actual texture of room-time, we stand at the very front of another period in cosmic exploration, driven by interest and the quest for information.